Today is Friday, December 20th, 2024. My name is Hunter. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We're only 5 days away from Christmas Day, definitely creeping up very quickly. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information and check back often for updates. Like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and definitely appreciate it. And if you do want to, leave any comments, questions, concerns below. You can also do that later on here in the video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Arctic air departing and a big warming trend as we go into Christmas week, and an overview on the forecast in early January, giving you some early details on what you can expect as we turn the page to 2025. We'll get to that later on in the video. Here are your low temperatures this morning. It was Arctic cold up here, bitterly cold across portions of North Dakota and northern Minnesota. Some of these low temperatures were into the double digits below zero at 10 below up here into parts of northern North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota, and those wind chills were bitterly cold into the minus 15, minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit range up here in parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota, even minus 31 with the wind chill up in southern Manitoba this morning. And looking at this afternoon, those areas in Manitoba that were at minus 31 are only going to be able to muster minus 7 for a high temperature this afternoon. We got single digits above zero and teens above zero there for high temperatures in the upper Midwest, and we're still hanging on to those wind chills on either side of zero for the upper Midwest. And look at that, southern Manitoba minus 22 is as warm as you're going to get with your real feel up there with your wind chill this afternoon. So definitely going to be very, very cold. That is for sure. Looking at snowfall reports over the past 24 hours up here across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. Notice a lot of the darker blues and the yellows. That is 4 to 6, if not 6 to 8 inches worth of snow, and even a couple overachievers that saw over 8 inches of snow here south of the Twin Cities near La Crosse, and then over here into the northern suburbs of Milwaukee. Definitely seeing that as well, and some of that had to do with the lake enhancement from Lake Michigan, but definitely even seeing a few inches of snow over here in lower Michigan around the Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Lansing areas as well, a few inches of snow. So a lot of us are shoveling or snow blowing this morning. And looking here at the weather alerts across the country on this Friday, we're still hanging on to some winter weather advisories in areas north of Detroit, up here and towards the Orchard Park, Buffalo, and even Erie, Pennsylvania areas, the Appalachians down here in West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, and the western Carolinas. And then looking here at Boston, we have a winter weather advisory there as well. Out to the west, dense fog advisories across all of the Sierras here, as we're seeing some pretty heavy fog across the Sacramento Valley here this morning into the afternoon. And let's look at the precipitation heading into the afternoon. We got some lighter snowfall, some lake enhancement to this, so the snow totals might be a little bit bumped up if you're closer to the lake there, like Erie, Pennsylvania, or Buffalo, Orchard Park, New York, Watertown, New York, as we go into the afternoon. That'll continue as we go into tonight. I think it'll become a little bit more sporadic, so not everybody will see snow as we go into tonight. And looking at those snowfall totals left to come, could be a couple of inches of snow, especially for Michigan, down into northern Ohio, northern Indiana, and maybe over there into western PA, near Pittsburgh. And then the heavier amounts up there towards Erie, Pennsylvania, Orchard Park, New York, into the Buffalo region where we have that lake enhancement off of Lake Erie. Those winds are blowing across the lake, and the lakes are still warm, and that creates clouds and snowfall, and we have a few inches of snow there as we go through your Saturday time frame. As far as travel is concerned, your winter storm severity index here is low, but it's still enough to create some travel troubles out there into western New York State, again, closer to Lake Erie, and then over there into northern Pennsylvania and down the Appalachians as well. Make sure to be ready for that. Heading into the weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, December 21st, Arctic air, really the center of that across southeastern Canada, near portions of Toronto and Montreal, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. Maybe some modified Arctic air further off to the east. That'll be pushing east a little bit more on Sunday. That'll be bottled up there into the northeast United States. And yes, look at that. Milder air moving in from the west across the middle of the country as we go into Sunday, and that will spell out Christmas week as well with our warming trend that will begin. So looking here at Saturday afternoon, notice we are still chilly, pretty cold up here into the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and up into the Northeast, even colder yet into southeastern Canada. Obviously, that's where we have the deeper snowpack. We've had many snowstorms up in Ontario and Quebec this season so far, and it's no surprise temperatures are much colder because of a deeper snowpack. Going into Sunday morning, you can see the freezing line is a bit further to the south, 32 degrees down there into places like Oklahoma City. 29 in Little Rock, 27 in Memphis, and 27 in Knoxville. And then you look over here at South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, at 30 degrees Sunday morning. So make sure to bundle up with a jacket as you go out the door for any church services on Sunday or any errands that you do have to run. Sunday afternoon, we're going to be seeing the coldest of air up here in the Northeast, again, southeastern Canada, where the deeper snowpack is. That is where it's going to be seeing that Arctic air really enhance across those regions. So we're going to hold on to the Arctic air there. But a modifying air mass, we're going to turn our winds more southwesterly here, or at least west southwesterly from the plains into the Midwest. That will bump our numbers up into places like Des Moines on Sunday to 40 degrees, 44 in Omaha, 32 right at freezing in Chicago, and 30 there with a little bit of a snowpack in the Twin Cities. But we're warming up as we go into Sunday. Overall, this weekend, precipitation prospects, not really looking at any major storm systems. We got a little bit of snow up here in the Northeast, some rain across the West Coast here as a bigger storm moves in for Saturday into Sunday. That'll create a lot of rainfall here and waterlogging across the West as we go through the weekend. Heading into next week, here is our major pattern change, and we've been advertising this for quite a while. Between Monday, December 23rd and Friday, December 27th, we got a big ridge of high pressure up here near the Hudson Bay in eastern Canada and a big trough in the Gulf of Alaska extending all the way up into the Arctic. That is going to keep the Arctic air bottled up further up into Alaska, further up to the north here into far northern Canada, and really where it should be this time of year. But what shouldn't be this time of year is all of these warmer temperatures. Look at Canada here. We could be near 40 degrees above the norm for this time of year all across the Canadian prairies here, even as you go up into Yukon, the Northwest Territories here, as well as Hudson Bay. And then looking across the Central and Western U.S., we are still a handful of degrees above normal, 10, 20, 25 degrees above the normal here in some areas. Still hanging on with that Arctic air early on in the week that will lean our temperatures below normal off the East Coast as we go into next week. This will bring in active weather pattern regardless of us warming up. We got a couple big storms moving in across the West Coast, especially later next week. That's where we see the blues. That is well above normal precipitation. And then a moisture-laden system advertised to move across the southern plains into the lower and middle Mississippi Valley later next week post-Christmas travel. So let's break it down for you here on Monday, 23rd. We are seeing a little light snow event again for Wisconsin, for parts of Michigan, really northern lower Michigan, could bring another inch or two of fluffier snow. And then across portions there of Idaho into western Montana and western Wyoming, a couple of snow showers there that could add up to a couple inches as well on Monday. We got some rain across the southern plains Christmas Eve. So if you're traveling into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, or even the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texarkana, Tyler, Texas, we got some showers and storms, non-severe as we go into Christmas Eve. Bigger storm moving in out west, heavy snow across the Sierras and some of the Cascades as well. Rainfall in the lower elevations. That energy will move across Colorado on Christmas Day. We got, again, more rogue rainfall from St. Louis down through Little Rock, Memphis, and Louisiana as we go into Christmas Day. Thursday, post-Christmas travel, we are watching a system here into Oklahoma and the Lone Star State of Texas that could definitely lead to some severe weather. That is something we're going to be watching as we go into Thursday and even into Friday as it moves further east into the Tennessee Valley and into the southeast. And then we got, another big system moving in across the western U.S. We're just going to have multiple systems here moving in from the Pacific Ocean through next week. So looking at the first system as we go into later next week here, This one could spell out the potential for some severe weather. Now, it's not off the charts convective available potential energy. I understand that. It's December, right? So we're not going to be seeing May levels of 5,000 joules per kilogram. That's just not happening here this time of year. What has been shown in the models is a weakening trend with this trough that's kind of coming in across Texas over the past couple of days, and that is a good sign, which means severe weather is not going to be as significant as originally thought. And I think really we're going to be seeing only really a couple of isolated strong to severe storms at most as we go into that Thursday, Friday time frame. And if that low-level jet can get strong enough, again, not a very strong signal of a very strong low-level jet here, but just enough to maybe rotate some of those storms Thursday into Friday. Thursday, it's maximized here in southeast Texas, really not showing that big of a deal. And then as we go into Friday, more around the Shreveport areas where that maximizes the potential overlapping of the storm energy and the wind shear for potential some severe storms, probably just a marginal, maybe a slight risk day of severe weather once we get into Friday. As the Storm Prediction Center gets more confident, they could put those outlooks out here over the next few days. Regardless, heavy rainfall coming in across the western U.S. We're going to be seeing several inches of rain from Seattle down to Eugene, Portland, and also down into Northern California. And then some heavier rain here from East Texas along and east of the I-35 corridor, all the way up there towards St. Louis. A couple of inches of rain there. Most of the state of Arkansas actually going to see at least an inch of rain through the later next week. Snowfall concerns, again, another inch or two of snow, as we mentioned, across Michigan there and Wisconsin, all the way over to the northeast, giving us a little bit of a white Christmas, perhaps. And then looking here across portions of the west, feet of snow for Vancouver, some areas up to 80 to 100 inches of snow, heavy snow for the Cascades and Sierras, and even up here into the mountains of Idaho and into western Montana, seeing some pretty heavy snow there as well. Turning the page to 2025, I know it's so hard to believe, right? We're going into early January. Here's the synoptic pattern. Again, this is just an overview. Take it with a grain of salt. We got a big ridge potentially building up here into the Gulf of Alaska and Western Canada, and that will force a trough to develop here across the east, a little bit more of a pattern change from Christmas week again into early January. This actually is a little bit of devil in the details, right? We don't have much of a snowpack for the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, or the Mid-Atlantic, so even these colder heights really aren't going to be that cold because it's modified cold air, because we don't have a snowpack on the ground. So a lot of people are saying early January is going to be extremely cold. Well, wait a second. The stop sign is up, because if we don't have a snowpack on the ground in the Midwest there, in the Ohio Valley in the Mid-Atlantic, while it could be cold, I don't think it's going to be really, super duper Arctic cold, 40, 50, 60 below zero, anything crazy like that, because of the snowpack is lacking across that region. Now out west, those anomalies are a little bit stronger. See the deeper blues here? That's because the snowpack out west is getting resupplied Christmas week. We're seeing some heavier snow for the Sierras. We're seeing heavy snow for the Cascades and the Rockies and up there in British Columbia. That's why we're starting to see some greens show up here. And those temperatures there could be 25 degrees below normal in January. Now that would be colder. Looking here at early January storm track, we got more storms coming in across the west coast, all the way up there into the Gulf of Alaska. That is a given. That pattern will continue. Maybe the subtropical jet gets a little bit more active early in January, maybe later in that first week of January here, and forces a low pressure to develop in East Texas, maybe moving up there toward the Mid-Atlantic or the Ohio Valley. That could set up some snow a little bit further off to the northwest of that track, and that is something we'll be tracking for you right here on this channel. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. If you did enjoy all the details that I have provided to you on this video, make sure to leave it a like down below as well. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Friday out there.